All right then, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Here we are. Welcome all hedgehogs, echidnas, gun agents all over the world. Welcome to another Shadowy Alliance slash reviews. I'm your host, like always, Lord of Shadows. Welcome with my charming co-host.
Film Review Central. Thank you very much for having me back on the channel. Much appreciated. And you, always trying to be charming. That's my main goal.
Hey, I mean that's how I basically. Well, if I have to be put it like honestly, that's how I roll. Basically, you know. This is how I
Fair enough,
roll.
fair enough.
Yeah. All right then. It's time to get knuckled, if that's actually a word. It's time to get knuckled. It's time to get weighed. It is time for bowling. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we
You
are
missed
doing.
you missed a beat. I mean, it's time to get whippled.
Well, I
Did,
just said
did
it's
you
time to
did
get
you like
weighed.
that one?
No, that's a good
Okay,
one.
yeah.
That's a good. That's a good
I'll
one.
leave you to it. That's your thing. I'll leave you to it. I tried
Okay.
my luck. I didn't do very well.
No, yours is good as well. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's time to get Whipple, like you said, or as I said, it's time to get Wade, because this time, ladies and gentlemen, after like few days since it's been released, we are doing the one and only well-spoken, sarcastically, well-spoken Knuckles review. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's why we are here. Boy, this is gonna be interesting. This is gonna be so interesting to talk about. Okay, how oh god, basically, okay, if you don't know, like it's been like I think like 2 years since Knuckles was announced that there's gonna be a Paramount Plus TV show. And first and foremost, like my personal first reactions, I was like, wow, I was like really shocked that like really going forward, it was way before Sonic 2 was released. They even announced Sonic 3, which is also one thing I cannot wait. Why, if December can come any faster. um but overall, like, I was pretty much, excited. So those were kind of like my first initial like thoughts. Basically, what were your first initial thoughts when Knuckles was revealed, to be a TV show?
Yeah, I mean I used to play the games way back when I was younger, so I had an awareness of this world, of this universe. Obviously, the first film came out in 2020, and that
Yep.
year happened. And I enjoyed the first Sonic movie for what it was. I think it was. I'm not necessarily the target audience for it, but I thought it was so much fun, and was one of the bright sparks movie sense wise in the year where they chuck movies left, right, and center out of that calendar year, understandably. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 I watched in cinemas. That was released a couple of years ago, and again, I just had a lot of fun with this series. But for me, I think what was an interesting aspect is that as you said, they introduced this and announced this show before the before Sonic 2. So you sort of had to see, okay, this is interesting. This character, they seem to have a lot of trust and belief in it. And I thought Knuckles as a character was, and this is probably my opening statement about it, was a really great character. He worked well with Dr. Robotnik. That level of sort of humor and very very different people, and obviously then you had Sonic and Tails working together, so I think it had that nice mix and that pairing. I sort of felt a little bit like they missed a beat with the character, especially with the way that like that last 10 minutes or so was him sort of being a little bit like Drax the Destroyer, where he's the comedic humor, fun, like, but almost sort of just a little bit unaware of simple things. I think that was good, but I wish they did that a bit earlier in the movie and probably expanded on that. But I mean, it made logical sense because I don't think you would have a Tails show would have particularly worked as well. So I think Knuckles was an interesting character, could have taken it to interesting places. So I was at least intrigued, and Idris Elba's a fantastic voice choice. I do think that is a really great casting, because with certain voice work, as you're a big fan, I know, of animation, Mr. Shadows, like a certain voice fitted a character is like a marriage. It's just perfect. So I do think that Idris Elba, I was very pleased that he didn't just say, "Well, I did the movie and that's fine. I don't want to do a TV show." The fact that he decided to do that, I thought that was quite awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I was like also literally surprised that Idris Elba would return to voice Knuckles, because there's a difference between movies and miniseries. in this case, because usually when you do a TV show that is based on a movie or movies, usually you get actors that are a lot more. No offense to anyone out there, but like usually you get actors that are like a little bit cheaper than the actual movie stars.
Yeah.
So but again, it's Paramount Plus. So just like Disney Plus, they're able to afford themselves, to get Idris Elba, which I thought was great on their part, to bring him back, because Knuckles was definitely one of the best parts in Sonic 2, like the way how they introduced him and his personality. You commented the Drax the Destroyer thing, but I can tell you, in the games or any other Sonic TV shows, well, besides Sonic Boom, because that's a totally different story. But the point is that, trust me, Knuckles is not that different in the games or in the TV shows. Believe me, he has that kind of a same personality. Although, his tone is let's just say a lot more, but a little bit more serious than what he was in the movies, so that's kind of the only difference I've seen. But so far, just like you, I was interested to see Knuckles, this mini series, because I don't think we're going to see a season 2 of Knuckles. I think this is it, 6 episodes. That's what we got. That's it. There you go. So I was interested, just like you. I was interested, to see Knuckles, and then we got the premise of the show, and that's where basically I think the barrel rolls down the hill, because now, okay. Before we go to no. You know what? I'm gonna say it. The premise of the show said Knuckles the Echidna, or just Knuckles sometimes, will teach Deputy Sheriff Wade in the ways of the Echidnas, how to be a warrior. That was the premise. It was nothing let's just say, and you can kind of guess. I'm already getting into my thoughts, but it wasn't kind of, it wasn't nothing I'm trying to do kind of a Clone Wars narrative kind of thing, Knuckles the Echidna. Knuckles the Echidna tries to find himself a home on Earth alongside his worthy sidekick Wade. If it was kind of a Don Quixote, Sancho Panza thing, Wade is Sancho Panza and Knuckles is Don Quixote, then, okay. But it was that premise. And like I said, that's where people's thoughts were rolling down the hill after that. Okay, so now I kind of put a little bit of coal on the fire, kind of starting this fire, and everything. So let's just roll with it. And okay, who should start?
I don't mind. I don't mind. It's your show. You go first.
No. Okay. But I think your head will roll a few times, maybe all the time. Okay. I don't know. But the point, anyway. Okay, so I've seen and that's the honest truth. When the Knuckles TV show premiered. Now, when the premiere happened, they only seen the first 4 episodes. They didn't see 5 and 6. Only a bit later on. After the pre-screening. Anyway, so people have, dropped reviews and thoughts all over Twitter, or should I say, pardon me, X, about the Knuckles TV show. And it sounded like most of the comments were oh, okay, it's a great, super fun time, TV show, it was a great banger, and so on and so forth. Very simple, but fun. And then the fucking Kotaku came. And GameSpot as well, and they were saying what was the thing that GameSpot said? Oh yeah, barely knuckled, and Kotaku just direct over just simply out of nowhere, just simply directly said Knuckles is barely in his own show. Now, that I would say after I heard that, it made me depressed. I'm honest, seriously, it made me depressed. Oh my god, oh, I know what to say. I was a little bit conflicted, should I watch Knuckles and all of that? But then after a few minutes, a day and a half thinking, I was you know what? Fuck Kotaku, screw GameSpot. I'm just gonna watch it. I don't care. And I watched it.
Just before you get into the specifics of the show, I think that's a really interesting point that you brought up, because early reviews is a great. It's it's an honor and a privilege to get that medium, and I'm sure
True.
I personally I would love that. When you hear like Marvel do it for their Disney Plus shows, like I want to be part of that crew. The problem
Same.
is that when you have, and to be fair, you made a great point when we messaged. It didn't fill me with confidence, I will admit, because it was a couple of days before, and we messaged and we had a conversation.
Yep.
And you said, look, and it actually reminded me of one thing. And then this is a comparison so far out there, but I'm going to make the comparison because I think it's relevant.
Go ahead.
Dune Part 2 came out this year. What an incredible movie. Love that movie. Unbelievable. That movie, before its general release, was a 10 out of 10 on IMDb. No movie is 10 out of 10 on IMDb. Shawshank
True.
Redemption from the 90s, right? Everyone went mental. It's a 10 out of 10. Oh my dear Lord. Oh my God, it's finally done it. I don't know what it is now, but Dune 2 is not a 10 out of 10 anymore because more people have watched it. Potentially more people have dropped the average rating, and that's how they do it. But the point I'm trying to make is that people could go in negative or positive, but even before it gets a general release, when casual people can watch it. By the way, certain critics don't have these opportunities and passes, so even their opinion might disregard it. I completely agree with you. It made me think a lot about movie reviews and media, and this is not what I want to do here, but I think it's a really interesting point that you made is that yes, you could read a review, it doesn't fill you with confidence, but people's perception is so much on, well, I'm not watching that then. And obviously what you did as a fan of the last two movies, fans of the universes, you've gone, okay, that's your opinion, I respect it, but let me watch it and let me give you my thoughts. And I think that was an interesting point that you made. It should never dampen people. It makes you a little bit worried, understandably, because you're watching the same thing. But the fact that people can say something so solidly, and then I know you messaged me and went, what the hell are they talking about? Like, I've just watched it. What the hell are they talking about? So it's weird how people could watch the same thing. Yes, everyone watches the same thing and has an opinion, like me and you have an opinion, and it's a very different opinion. But something so obvious as Knuckles not in it, you watch and you go, he is, and he is. Like, and just like, were we watching the same thing here? Like, did you go on the right Paramount Plus? But I think what was interesting for Paramount Plus is I think that's a positive for them. Because if you look at their original stuff, Paramount Plus has not got a lot of like kids focused. I know they have a Transformers animated show, but a lot of their stuff is really serious. And my God, they make some incredible television like Yellowstone, Yellow Jackets, Mayor of Kingstown, as well as those coming back. All of them are very, very shows that are massively positive with adults and is a bit more of a mature show. So I think Paramount Plus having this medium, I think, was a real great positive. But please do continue. But I wanted to sort of comment on that briefly.
Yeah, I mean, everything we just said, it's absolutely true. And especially like one of the things that I always had a problem with, like really big problem, is that when you hear critics or YouTubers, like when I say YouTubers, I mean like usually like big shot YouTubers, who have like hundreds of thousands to like millions of subscribers. Like when you hear them saying like their initial reaction, not just simply we're not talking just simply about Knuckles, like we're talking about like in general, and especially when you see their like their screens, like what's that word, a thumbnail, when you see their thumbnails on YouTube videos, like usually like when they have like reactions like going like this, like or like
yeah,
like when they go like this, it gets on my nerves so much. Like, it irritates me.
I don't need to watch the video. I don't need to watch the video. I could just look at that.
You just see their reactions and like it tells you everything. But basically, the problem I have, because like honestly, like I'm usually the guy who like doesn't read reviews or anything like that before I see something, because now the Knuckles thing was an accident. I read a few on accident. When I was on X. But the point is that people listen to those people. You know, the other people, normal like people, like they listen to YouTubers, they listen to critics, and like, you know, saying, "Oh, this is bad, this is awful, Knuckles is barely in it," and so on and so forward. Again, back on Knuckles. But the point is, they listen to them and they're like, "Okay, I'm not gonna see it." I'm like, dude, like, what the fuck you're doing? Like, go and see it. See that TV show. See that movie. See that cartoon. Doesn't matter. See them and make your own opinion. Seriously, the seriously, those critics and YouTubers, they're like shepherds, and other people who follow them are just simply sheeps. You know, they're like, you know, like for example, okay, I mean, I do respect those guys, but like I would just put it as an example. Real Rejects, for example.
Yeah.
Those are YouTubers that I follow, but like when they do like, you know, early thoughts when they're out of the theater, you know, they're like, you know, well, you know, this and that, blah blah blah, and then like, you know, you see in the comments like, okay, I'm not gonna see it. Okay, they said it's bad. Okay, I'm not gonna see it. You know, okay, I'm gonna pass on it and on that. I'm like, this is so pathetic. It is so pathetic. Yeah. Like, you know, like people, it's like either lazy or they're unable to make like their own opinions, which is really pathetic. It really is.
Yeah.
You know, which is why I tell, you know, you and every other people, like, you know, don't listen to me, don't listen to them. Like, you go and see it, like it or not. Just take this opportunity and see it and make your own opinion.
So everybody enjoy this review where we share our opinions.
Exactly. So now, you know, I just want to continue what you just said, you know, so that's just want to say. Although I will say, in my head, I was like so shocked that they're like, wow, like from Knuckles you went to Dune. I'm like, wow, like,
sorry,
what a big jump from one universe to another. Like, what a big jump.
Knuckles is in Dune 3, by the way. Did you not know that? Knuckles is in Dune 3. He saves the day. He's good.
Yeah. Oh my god. Like, he makes the sandworm one of his, like, as his pet.
Yeah.
And he knocks the shit out of all the family houses. Oh my god. Anyway, okay, so let's go back to Knuckles. Okay, so yes. I've seen Knuckles. I watched all the 6 episodes. Like, the first time I watched it on my own, and the second time, well, again on my own. So basically, I'm trying to say I watched it twice. Yeah, surprised to hear that, actually. Anyway, yeah, I watched it twice. You know, like the first time, you know, I want to see it, and the second time, you know, I just want to have like a more, you know, deeper, like, you know, thoughts to see, like, you know, when it comes to Knuckles. Anyway, like I comment you on the chat, like, I honestly, I had a blast with it. You know, like, yes, I mean, look, is Knuckles the TV show? I'm gonna say it right off the bat. Okay, right off the bat. Like, is the Knuckles TV show perfect? No. Is it like a perfect Sonic TV show? No. But is it like, you know, like a solid, pretty good, like, show on its own? Yes. I'm sorry to say this. It is. Like, you know, I really had a blast with it. I really, you know, I loved Knuckles. Like, every single scene he was in it, he was great. I even appreciate Wade. Okay, I like his character, really did. Especially in those, especially like when it comes to his relationship with his family, his father, and that peculiar episode 4 thing. But we're gonna go that into later. You know, overall, yeah. I mean, I just want to say right off the bat, like, yes, the story is simple, but I still enjoyed it. It was easy to follow. You know, I mean, especially if you're targeting children, so, you know, naturally. But, you know, I still enjoyed it. I really, the action sequences for me were like really good. When there was action, they were really well choreographed. Especially that kitchen scene. Oh my god, the way how the camera was like is going in circle. Oh my god, I was like, that's a great shot. You know, all the way to the final battle against between Knuckles and the Buyer, who is also the main villain of Knuckles. So overall, yeah, I had a blast with it. I liked all the characters, even though if I had to say right off the bat, who is my most irritating character in Knuckles, I'm gonna have to go with his sister, with Wade's sister, and I will also add Oh yeah, the bounty hunter from episode 4. Those two characters were my most irritating ones in the show. Everyone else was great. Everyone else was pretty solid. Even the 2 agents, which, by the way, I just want to say, I predicted they were gun agents, and when it was revealed, I was like so happy because like, oh, I was right, that they were gun agents. But overall, yeah, those were like my first initial thoughts, and then after you said your own, we're gonna go into deeper spoilers. But anyway, so far, like I told you before, for me it was a banger. I had a blast with it. Now you.
Where to start? No, it was just it perfectly captivated my problem with the Sonic movies. And my biggest problem with the Sonic movies is that there's these incredible beings, and yet we have to rely on the particularly short runtime of the Sonic movies into all like the human conflict and stuff like that, giving them all a backstory. And for me, I just felt like this TV show could have really opened up the possibilities of having a show with real, potential, being something very different, allowing, and it was different, but it was had a different perspective on it. For me personally, an origin story would have worked so much better if you'd given us an origin story of Knuckles, either before he did, because I think it's such an interesting backstory, because he could have gone to somewhere, like he could have gone somewhere.
Time out.
Hang on. Like we could have gone to like so.
Okay, but I just want to tell you, like, we got a Knuckles origin story in Sonic 2.
No, because the Knuckles, the Echidna Warriors is like, you could see him like get older and train and stuff like that. You only seen like the cause and the effect which needed to happen for Sonic 2, and that made sense. That made sense for the story. But if you had done an origin story, by the way, is like only one little idea that they could have done. They could have done this thing where he stayed on Earth and he could have, the traveling, on his own. He could have done all of that on his own. For me, the biggest problem with this show is that, yes, Knuckles just became sometimes completely off screen, where I even forgot that it was a Knuckles show. Like Wade Whipple in the 2 Sonic movies is one of the most is just a forgetful supporting character. He's just useless, and they're just in that whole thing, and he just completely leaned into that ridiculousness and thought, we need to give this guy an emotional and backstory that, by the way, is stereotypical in a lot of things, and also it's like, we've got to make this relatable. He's not funny at all. The comedic style isn't. I know you said about the sister being annoying. I just wanted to punch her in the face every single time that she was on screen.
Same with me.
Everything she was saying just got on my nerves. I think the mum was all right. The mum was okay, and I was really, really close to not carrying on the show, I will admit. And then I thought, okay, come on, I'm halfway through. Let's push on now. Episode 4, here we go. I had to have a break. Between after episode 4, because what that was just, it was pantomime stuff. Like the Echidna Warrior, the aging Echidna Warrior, like I thought that could have been like, that'd be awesome. Like then we'll have this whole backstory and of like the Echidna Warrior. I think it could have just took the show and took the series to a new.
Wait a minute, we kind of got the Echidna thing. We got Pachacamac.
Yeah, but he just showed up in a bowling alley, and then he showed up and then like fell through the floor, and it was just I just thought to myself, like, they're trying too hard to make this funny when it's not particularly funny at all. The villains were all right. The villains were okay. That last CGI battle, spotty. There was a few bits where I thought, it's not looking that great. But in the final bit. But yeah, for me, I had a real problem with it. And, I think there was so much potential out there. They could have leaned in with Knuckles sort of being that Drax type of character and going on that sort of like, having the comedy. But I understand why people said he was barely in it. And then the episode length. Oh my dear Lord. I've never known a show for like half an hour for like a kids focused show. Like,
For me, I mean, for me, the length was actually.
I just find that so peculiar. This is. As you were saying?
No, I was just trying to say that for a type of show that Knuckles was, for me, like the length actually was actually pretty acceptable. You know, because I just want to add this, and then I'm gonna let you continue. Just don't forget where you stopped. So I was trying to say that there was a rumor going around before it was released that Knuckles every single episode is gonna be like almost like an hour long. You know, all the episodes, which for me, absolutely, I was like, first of all, I was like, wait, what? Like, and I was like, no, that's not true, because if they were like an hour long or 45 minutes to 50, trust me, for a show like this, it would have been too long. So for me personally, the length didn't bother me. You know, for a show like this, it was actually kind of acceptable. So I just wanted to say that, you know, but please continue.
Thank you. But no, I just think the overall premise of the show, and if I was pitching this as my own show, then, but by the way, the episode length was like close to 3 hours in total, like across the whole show. I've just had a look while you were talking. The first Sonic movie was 1 hour and 40. The second one was about just over 2 hours. Okay, fair enough. The second one had a bit more weight to it. You know, you have to build up certain bits, so I get that. But this is the longest project. We've had 2 movies and 1 TV show, and somehow the TV show is trying 2 movies. It's 40 minutes shorter than 2 movies combined. Explain that one. But like, for me, like Sonic and Tails, okay, they weren't in it a lot, but it wasn't their focus, so I understand that. I was nice. It was nice that they were in the first episode, and you know, because that's to pick that back up. It'd have been weird if they weren't. Nice to see that James Marsden decided to show up. That was quite good. That was quite nice of him. Carry on. But for me, if I was pitching this show, if somebody told me what would you do for Knuckles, I'd do it in that type of idea of, and not as like the I Am Groot show. Every single episode, the I Am Groot show sort of had like little mini adventures. Not the runtime, because that's like 6 minutes. I think them episodes are, but like, expand them to about 15, 20 minutes and give him like a little task to do. And then there'd be like an overarching story where at the end you're like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. So him like battle these criminals in the town, and then battle like, and obviously have Wade there, like, is it because you sort of need that human element of like, look, I've and him like every single episode go back to Wade and go, here's your criminals. Next episode, new criminals. There we go. But have them all work for this good. It would have worked so much better. I am a fan of bowling. Bowling in the show. So what is it? Jack somebody? Who was his mate's name? Who's Wade's mate's name?
Oh,
is it Jack somebody?
Jack.
Yeah. What's his surname?
I think like because it was irritating character, I forgot his last name.
No, honestly, I genuinely think it's Jack Slater, and I think that's Arnold's character in Last Action Hero. So like that was just I can remember thinking like, my God. And also the strangest character out of all the show, all the part of the show was blessed, a young scout girl. What? Like that is just the strangest thing. And like, oh, I'm going to be in bowling. I'm going to go out and hang around with this weirdo with my parents going like, yeah, we'll just let you hang around with this guy who's dressed up like a Mickey Rourke wannabe. Like, he was just like, terrible.
Good
I was
one.
just like, why are you here? Like, why are you here? And she barely bowled at the end. She only bowled once, I think, to my recollection. So she was just there going, go on, Wade. Did she bowl once? Twice?
No, actually, she bowled more than once. She bowled more than once.
Okay, twice then. But yeah.
I think it was twice.
I feel like I've gone on a little bit too much. But no, I think there was potential for this show. If they made a different story choice, I think it would have worked. But for me, it just didn't. There was no part of this show where I thought, okay, that's quite cool. So
Now, I wasn't trying to make any positions, like, trying to stop you. I was just simply, like,
That's
adjusting
fine.
myself.
That's fine.
No. So basically, what you're trying to say is that, first and foremost, you're trying to do that first thing what I did at the beginning, like, like Knuckles being kind of like the Don Quixote, and Wade is kind of like the Sancho Panza, like, character, basically. And and also what I understood is, like, you wanted to see Knuckles, the TV show, to be kind of like a collection of shorts, right?
Well, not a
Like,
collection of shorts, but shorter, most definitely. But then have that sort of, episode focus and have the overarching, so it kind of works as a TV show in its structure. But the best bit I think that could have really worked is have like Knuckles like learning how to be a hero on Earth, the same way he was kind of like a hero of his own people. And the idea of Sonic going like, look, we've got no more villains, but then the villain build up within the show can lead to Sonic 3. So we have to watch this show as a potential like little bit of homework to do before Sonic 3, and the bridge between like Sonic 2 and Sonic 3. That would have worked so much better. So much better.
Okay. Okay. I see where you're going with this and all that. I get it. I mean, like, I think, like, when it comes to this, I think, like, the most acceptable solution would have been, like, if they named the show Knuckles and Wade. I think, like, if they made the title Knuckles and Wade, I think, like, it would be much more softish, acceptable for, like, the viewers and Sonic fans and everything. Like, because the thing is, okay, I'm gonna say right off the bat, okay. Everyone who said that Knuckles is barely in it, I just want to say right now, all of you, screw yourself. Okay, screw yourselves. Like just simply bugger off immediately, because the only reason why they said it's barely in it because of 2 episodes, 4 and 5. Because of those 2 episodes. If you count like 1, 2, 3, and 6, he was in it the whole time. He was in it the whole time, But here's the way, So don't give me that shit about, like, he's barely in it. He's not. He's not barely in it. I'm gonna say it right off. He's not barely in it. I would say his amount of screen time is actually a good amount. It was a good amount of screen time, because if you look at the build-up of the episodes, some parts were like Knuckles. Then you had Knuckles and Wade. And then you had parts where, like, it was about Wade, and 4 and 5 were about Wade. 4 was like, him being this warrior, not being a coward, not being a pussy all the time, and all that, So, and the 5th one was like, which for me personally was understandable. The 5th one was like, he met with his father, who's, by the way, a dick. He met with his father. They tried to, what's the word? Trying to, get back, where they were left off, in this TJ Maxx, I think he mentioned, basically. And so I understood, like, why they chose 4 and 5 to be like centered around Wade. So the Knuckles, like, not being in screen time too much, I was like, okay, fine, because everyone needs some breathing room. Okay, everyone needs, like, you have Knuckles, Wade, his family, the villains, like, his father, like, everyone needs some, like, what's the word, like, breathing room, basically, to develop and everything. And also, I love the idea of, like, in episode 6, like, when you have these grand battles in the end, like, Wade's battle is on the bowling, which is, by the way, my favorite sport. He's bowling, against his father, and of course you have Knuckles on the other side against the buyer. Can I say one more thing about the villain?
Go on.
Like, I think the Hound, the actor who played the buyer, I just simply called him the Hound the whole time, because of Game of Thrones. But yeah, I just want to say this. I think they should have named him like the engineer or the mechanic or something, like, because the buyer, I know it's like a very, like, a underworld, black market, business like supervillain name, and for him, I think, like, I think they should have given him something better, maybe even a actual full name, but overall, again, I'm not nitpicky. I'm just there's just a little critique I had, okay, a little nitpicky thing. The agents were cool. The agents were cool at all. I really loved King Cudi's character. I really liked the female agent as well. Like, I felt like, they were kind of goofy, like in this very like 90s old cartoonish kind of like henchmen, and kind of like, always talking with each other, being a little bit like, clumsy and all of that, so being, again, being a child who grew up in the 90s, well, part of the 90s, and, this like old fashioned cartoons, I could, I swallow them up basically, I got used to them, but being for what they are, anyway, just like the same thing with the buyer. Anyway, going back to what you just said, of course I predicted that Sonic and Tails will be just, in the first episode and that's it, then after that it's going to be Knuckles and Wade all along. But here's the one problem that a lot of people had. First and foremost, there is a difference having expectations from high expectations. There's a big difference. And I've seen a lot of people taking informations from everywhere, like even leaks, false ones, true ones, whatever, taking them all apart and saying like, oh, we're going to see Metal Sonic in this. We're going to see Rouge. We're going to see maybe the Chaotix team. And I'm like, whoa. Time out. As a Sonic fan, I would love to see those characters. By the way, do you know who the Chaotix team is?
Briefly.
Okay, so basically they're like they're from the Sonic universe. They're like a team of 3 characters who are like a detective for hire team, basically. One of them is Vector the Crocodile. Then there was one who was like a chameleon, and then the other one was like a bee or something, and really funny characters. Okay. And by the way, I just want to say, Paramount, if you're listening to this, if you're gonna bring us live action Vector, cast Seth Rogen as the voice of Vector. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. I just want to say this right now. It will fit him perfectly. Anyway, going back. So people wanted to see like all these characters, like, in Knuckles. And I'm like, you guys are asking too much. Like you guys are like, expecting too much, because from the very start, like I knew that the premise will not be anything like that. I know they're not going to go, that big with this miniseries now, because think about it. Like if you're going to, first and foremost, introduce Metal Sonic through this guy, the buyer, will be a big mistake. Because like Dr. Eggman is the one who created Metal Sonic, not this like the Scottish buyer or whatever. Not this buyer guy. Okay, he wasn't the one who created it, so that would be a big mistake. Unless he would have done like a Mel Knuckles, like a robotic version of him. That would have been fine. That would have been completely fine. But Rouge and the Chaotix team, like it would be a wrong place to throw them in. Wrong place, and also, how much explaining you had to do with like why they came here, how they got there, who hired them, what's their role in, like there would have been a lot of explanation. Trust me for that. So I'm okay with it. They took it easy and with like this story and everything, So anyway, going back, like
but that would have been quite difficult to do in a 6-episode series.
Totally.
And the fact as well, then I'm not calling anybody out that thought that I'm predicting that, because at the end of the day, you see something that you want, you kind of go, can we have this and this? Like, it's all right for people to dream and predict, but as soon as you see 6 episodes, limited series, you're like, no, we're not getting that. Come on, I think there's that choice between realistic and just being played stupid. No, like you've just got to take it for what it is. At the end of the day, I don't think this Sonic universe is slowing down.
Oh no.
So just be patient. At the end of the day, the first project that they release and they announce as a TV format, if they keep Paramount Plus, in terms of that deal, then by all means, feel free to use that streaming platform is like your way of doing TV shows. From the sounds of it, with a team up, like that could potentially work as its own movie. I know you might have disagreements with that, but I think as a, everybody likes team ups within like a shared universe. You've seen that repeatedly so many times. So yeah, I would never say that, like, if you're going in with that idea and then you still have that idea after 6 episodes, you're setting yourself up for disappointment before you even watch anything. Like, you can be disappointed by the trailer, like, because because you know they're not going to be in it. So for me, people like that just need to slow down and slow their roll a little bit.
Exactly. I mean, okay, when we get the thing is that when we get hyped for something, sometimes we get carried away. But then after maybe a day or two or a few hours, then basically we go back to Mother Earth, basically. From all shiny star fantasy world, we go back to Earth, basically. But there's some people that that really got carried away, like I said, expecting this and that, and this type of characters. Even there's a YouTuber who's a real big Sonic guy, and he also did some predictions oh, we're gonna see this character, we're gonna see that one, and I'm like, bro, for 6 episodes that would be too much, and for example, if Knuckles the miniseries had 10 episodes or 12, something like that, then maybe.
But I think people, but that's a shock. But that also was negative of it being announced that potentially we're going to get an hour. So, for example, if you get 6 episodes of an hour, so you get 6 hours, that is probably enough time to introduce some fan favorite characters.
Okay.
But then that's a negative on their part, because it wasn't an hour. There was no episodes that was an hour. The longest was, I think, about 30, 35. And
I
that
think
was
it was
just
33.
The 33, yeah. That was the first episode, I believe. You're not going to introduce all those characters in the first episode because you've got 35-minute runtime. So I think people were just going yeah, whatever. Let's just get this, and it was just ridiculous.
And also one more thing, I have to criticize, from the perspective of others. First and foremost, people saying this is a weight show and false advertising. Again, I have to go back to the premise. Okay, Knuckles teaching Deputy Sheriff Wade in the ways of the echidnas, how to be a warrior. Just read that premise a few times and get the fucking idea what the show is going to be all about. Of course, when I read that premise, of course, Wade is going to be the main center of it. Of course, he would have been. But again, this show for me personally balanced this premise for me perfectly. We have Knuckles moments, you had Knuckles and Wade moments, you had Wade moments, you had, and then of course all the way to the end you had both Knuckles and Wade moments. For me, it was perfectly balanced. And again, the Pachacamac thing, which is, by the way, a character that even still today, a lot of Sonic fans have a trouble pronouncing his name. Because it's just take a pic. Just remember that scene when Wade first saw the character. He was like, Parmesan. That was hilarious. Okay, the way I was trying to pronounce his name. Also, by the way, do you know who voiced Pachacamac?
Chris, was it? Oh, what's his name? I should know it as well. That's really bad. It's Back to the Future guy, isn't it? It's the Doctor.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Christ,
no, I'm blanking on his actual name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd.
I was going to say that as well. Christopher Lloyd. Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, I mean, I liked his portrayal of Pachacamac. I thought it was brilliant, and it was really on Christopher Lloyd's type of acting. It was really perfect for him. Even though personally,
the voice work.
Yeah, even though personally I would have preferred him to be Gerald Robotnik, who is basically the grandfather of Dr. Eggman. I would have preferred if he was playing that character, because he would have been perfect, one mad scientist to another, alongside Jim Carrey. That would have been great. But either way, anyway, going off the topic right now. But the point is, this is one thing that you and I are gonna battle. The musical thing in episode 4, I didn't mind it. Okay, I thought the song. I thought. I thought. Okay, whatever. Yeah, please. Echo.
No,
just because of the echo. Just because the echo put them on. But you can pretend not to listen to me. That's perfectly fine. The song.
I'm not listening.
Okay, fair enough. Well, then it's all up to me now. Like, I'm the one leading already. Anyway, so I didn't mind the song. I thought it was like catchy, even though like in that very cheesy, like low budget rock opera thing. Like, I thought it was really hilarious, and also that like so many fucking like Easter eggs from Knuckles and like the games and everything. I thought that was actually like pretty cool and everything. And also, I mean, I have to say that song was like a little bit catchy. It was actually a bit catchy. But overall, the song, I didn't mind it. And by the way, that wasn't a bowling alley. It was like, great battlefield in the sky, as Pachacamac would say. And again, I love that part when the bounty hunter catch Wade and he was like, Knuckles was like, are you going to save him? No. He must learn to rescue himself. Like, you're like, Wade is going to be just fine. And then like drinking his coffee, like that was actually like, pretty funny for me. But again, the bounty hunter was like really annoying. I do agree the girl part, like the little girl, like honestly, I didn't give a shit about her the whole time, but it was a little bit weird. Like, okay, like in that car with him and the parents, like that was a little bit weird. That was a little bit weird. I get that, but even though how much ridiculous it was, I was laughing really hard when he was like riding the bicycle and with a fucking katana in his hand. Like that was hilarious. A little bit, like, and I would say this: I'm glad he cut off his hair because that bounty hunter was so irritating. I'm really glad that he cut off his hair. I just want to say this, because I love and I love the way he was running and he was like, "Don't look at me, don't look at me." Like, I was like, you know what, I was really pissed off with you, so you deserve that. You deserve that, you bastard. So I didn't mind that. And again, the family thing in episode 5, like I said, I think for me that was also acceptable. In my personal opinion, I thought like that the reason why Knuckles wasn't that much in it, I thought it was actually perfectly balanced. Because when you go towards episode 6, here's our final reward, and I think like the episode 6 was like, for me at least, it was perfectly rewarding. And even though the sister pissed me off, well, like a lot of times, and I was so happy in a very cruel, dark way. I was so happy that her thumb was broken. I was so happy for her, because like she deserved to suffer. That's so sick, but like she deserved to suffer. How annoying she was. But the whole episode 3 thing, like with his family and everything. Oh my God, there's so much delicious food on the table. I wish I was there. Like, anyway, that whole family thing, I like that, and I really like to see Knuckles humanized in episode 3. I really like that, like, the meaning of family surrounded, like, and kind of like, learning new cultures and everything. Like, I really like that, like, because that was the point. I was like, that was like, like, this is great. Like, they're finally like, Knuckles is finally discovering like new things, and kind of like embracing that Earth could be his home. And, so that's why I said, like, I really liked the episode 3 because they started to humanize him as a character. And again, when those bounty hunters came, the way he kicked their asses, oh my God. And that kitchen fight, oh my God, it was so hilarious with that song in the background. Oh my God. Like it was hilarious, but at the same time, so fucking cool. So cool. And of course, so overall, like, yeah, I mean, like, I really don't have really anything bad to say about, like, Knuckles, except like some nitpicky things. But overall, like, I'm really trying to find like like what else to say. Yeah, I mean, like, I can nitpick, like, scene after scene after scene, but overall, like I said, it's not a blockbuster masterpiece. It's not a Oscar-winning series, but but for a good, friendly, family, super fun time, I thought Knuckles was like a decent show, and so, like, so again, I really had a blast with it. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, it's me. Episode 4 was horrible. That was probably the worst episode of TV I've watched this year. Like that was, it was bad. It was, and it was painful. Episode 5, yeah, okay, it picked it back up. 6 was good. For like a finale thing, like the contrast between the sport and the action outside. Yeah, I get that. 3 was probably the most heartwarming episode, even though the sister was in it. But I just think as you're going through, as you just went through, I was waiting for something to just get me excited about the show, and it didn't. And I think it's quite difficult for me to say any more than what I've sort of said, because in my reviews I've never really turned around to it and said this is what I should do or this is what I think, because hey, I'm not a writer, I'm not somebody who can make up movies and TV shows. But for me, I'd never got into a show or after watching a show and thinking I could potentially write a better show than that and it potentially do something of significance. We've not really spoken about it yet, but I think Sonic the Hedgehog 3, there's some excitement in there because of Keanu Reeves' casting as Shadow, which I think is a great casting. And I think that this show has really knocked down people's overall view on the Sonic universe. And it really shouldn't, because the first 2 movies are great fun. I think, number 3 is a really exciting one. And I think for me, Knuckles has just knocked down the opinion, and it shouldn't have. That's another thing as well. Like I've sat here for the last hour talking about how it's frustrating and how it's bad, but it's more frustrating other than anything else because there were some stories there. Yes, okay, the origin story could there's a few blank bits there. It's not going to add much, but I do think spending time with this character, who by the way was really funny, who now is adapting to his environment, he would have had so many more or so many better comedic moments within the show, because to be fair, Knuckles did have quite a few fun bits, adapting to the world. But I think like being in that sort of like Batman type hero where he goes out at night and takes down the criminals, but then I didn't like the villains because that completely undermines Robotnik in terms of his intelligence, because it's like, we make these and then he backstabbed me. Like, I wasn't bothered. Like, he's just far more intelligent than you. Like, you just got played. Like, just go away. Like, because it just completely undermines the overall significance of Robotnik as this like high-tech being. The fact that some Scottish guy in a basement is like making his tech for him. I just think it made so many poor decisions. It could have been a lot better show. It could have made a lot more impact within the universe. And I think that it had a really great opportunity to just tee up in a sports term, just tee up.
Yeah, but
Sonic 3, get people excited for it.
Yeah, but can I counter you?
I think it could have. I really do.
Can I counter you on that
but
one?
I think no, in a minute.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
like, I think if you potentially could do that very subtly or link, then me as an audience will go into Sonic 3, watch that movie and go, that link to Knuckles. The biggest thing with the biggest positive of the MCU Disney Plus shows, there are some shocking ones, by the way, but the really good stuff is that when you watch a good show and you see something in a movie, you're like, awesome. We've spoken about how DC is going to do that with like games and all the TV show that they're going to do. They're also going to incorporate games. Like, that'll be a really cool way, because it allows you to expand not only knowledge, but also the fandom through different mediums. So the Sonic universe, after 2 really good movies, films that were very fun, very enjoyable, you've got very strong support in terms of fandom. This Knuckles show could have gone in so many other directions and people would have gone, yep, awesome. But it didn't. And it didn't for me. And I think if you used, I know you're going to come back on about the Sonic Hedgehog 3 thing, but if they could have done something, literally anything, that could have linked this movie, this TV show to Sonic 3, I really do think that it could have worked really well. Wade's not going to start beating up Shadow and Dr. Robotnik with a bowling ball. Like, that's not, I don't want to see that. It's not going to happen. so many opportunities lost. I don't want Wade's sister coming in to Sonic 3 and start saving the day, and then a young scout girl going, "Go on, Wade," as they go up against them all. It was a show with so much potential, but ended up being really useless within the whole shared universe for me.
Okay, we each have their own, but here's the thing: you also have to think widely a bit. Like like first and foremost, what they could have done in the Knuckles show, because the way how because the way how the movies were, and also like between them, like you also have to think like what other things they could have played with, like so that like I do agree. Like they could have, they could have done something more, as you would say. Like they could have done something more. But again, also you have to think, like what kind of a cards do you have to play with, basically, because like you can't just simply, because that kind of comes to the situation what I told you, when people say you could have dropped this, you could have dropped that, you could have introduced this kind of characters and all that. I'm like, like throwing all these bits in it, like okay, I get it, but that's more like fan fiction than like actual, like material what you have in your hands, so basically, again, I do respect your opinion saying that they could have done better. I do, but again, you have to also think clearly, and also seeing how can I put this, as like, let's just say, as facts, with like what can be possibly done, in this situation, like after Robotnik is gone and everything, like so for now, so what can you do basically with Knuckles? I mean, again,
but we already know that Robotnik's coming back in number 3, so they could have opened that up more anyway. And then I think as well is that, I understand what you mean about the cards being dealt, like the cards that you dealt with, you've got to sort of deal with. But I also think you can also add new cards. You can also add different things that you can bring in. And for me, like the only thing that show did was, as soon as Robotnik comes back with all of his high tech, you're like, you don't make that, do you? Because some Scottish guy makes them in a unit downtown. Like it doesn't, to me that doesn't add much anything to the potential. It just says like, oh, the Knuckles show happened and this is what happened to Wade. So if you like, Wade's not going to be the central part of Sonic 3. He's not going to be the main part of the poster. So I think they just missed a beat completely. Like they could have.
No, I get it.
Like if you took out all the family stuff and the bowling and things like that, like which was entertaining in itself, and it was okay, that was all right. But if you took all of that stuff out, with stuff that potentially could have worked, I don't mean by character and stuff like that, because at the end of the day, that's more, character, more high tech characters that you have to involve in. Like it's supposed to be Knuckles' show, but I think even just a storyline or a plot point could have really hammered it home. It was like, you watch this, and Sonic 3 will be a blast.
Yeah, but also, I also have one thing I want to say about like the way how people thought of Knuckles and Sonic 3, but I'm gonna go get that in a minute. But here's the thing, like I said, like I told you before, yes, you can have new cards, but also, like I said, you deal with the cards you're dealt with. Like first and foremost, like I told you, what can you do? Because the thing is, you can do a Knuckles TV show where the stakes are like really high, like you can't, like before Sonic 3, so you have to do something that's a little bit like grounded, like like a smaller threat. Like for example, I told you, like for example, like you could have created a story which is kind of similar to what it is in the show, but like you could have created a story where basically like a small group of like villains, like like kind of like a, let's say, yeah, like a small group of villains, like like for example the buyer, like trying to hunt down Knuckles, because of his quills, because of his powers, like to create something, which is what the buyer did, but like something more concentrating just on that. Or you could have done like you said, mini adventures of Knuckles, like trying to go all over the earth, well, not all over the earth, but at least all over the country of United States, basically, kind of like figuring out what's his home, what isn't, like how he can adapt and all that. Like you could have done all that. Okay, I get it, but the point I'm trying to say is you can make a Knuckles TV show, which a lot of people say, oh, you can't. No, you can't. To be a huge, something with something with really gigantic stakes, like something like with a
Okay.
really big threat. You can have that, and also like I said for the third time, you can just simply wish to for some characters to be dropped in out of nowhere,
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. They didn't need to add any more characters into it.
So that's
like
why
big
that's why
characters.
so that's why exactly, so that's why for me personally, I appreciate in a more positive way what they were trying to do and make it more grounded, more like not softer, like more like an easier story, let's put it that way, like an easier story, easy to follow, to kind of like into preparation of Sonic 3, which reminds me, like that's one of the things also got on my nerves. It's like what now that people think like, oh my god, Knuckles is bad. Now immediately they're shitting their pants on Sonic 3. Like it's gonna be even worse and all that. Like it's gonna be more concerning humans. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, time out. Like, I mean, come on. Like, first and foremost, like the Sonic movie 3 is gonna be directed by Jeff Fowler, who directed the first two movies, and the same writers are returning from the movies as well. So don't worry, everything's gonna be just fine. Just breathe in, breathe out, relax, guys. Okay, don't shit your pants. Don't get all paranoid or whatever. Like, please, just calm down. Everything's gonna be fine. Just because one show was bad doesn't mean like everything else is gonna be bad. Okay, because sometimes when you create a cinematic universe, and again, you said before, Marvel is a great example. There's some great TV shows. There are some bad TV shows. Like you can, not every single show can be, or a movie can be a hit. There'll be some there'll be some minuses, there'll be some pluses. It's always like that. It's always like there's always a balance. So again, so overall, like I said, okay, like I mean, the show also did some like I said, some bold moves, and maybe some risky ones. But overall, for what they're trying to do, and also like we had some like origin, kind of like explanation why the villains, who they are, where they come from. Yeah, okay, it was briefly. I get it. It was briefly, but trust me, in fiction, I see a lot of villains, who like basically their origin story is shown like in a very short time, but still, like, even in those kind of backstories, you can kind of like pick up, like, oh, okay, so that's why he's doing what he's doing. Oh, okay, I get the idea. Like, it doesn't have to be in details. Not every single, sorry if I have to say this, but not every single fucking villain needs to be like Darth Vader or Thanos or, I don't know, fucking like Sauron, or I don't know, or Joker. Like, seriously, not every single fucking villain needs to be like that, like deeply explained, deeply like described.
But the villain's motives in this is the exact same of Dr. Robotnik's in Sonic, the first one.
Not exactly.
Completely the same. Completely the same.
No. Wait.
He gets his powers. Then hang on, the first one, Robotnik finds a power. He wants his power. Then he gets his power and then enhances his tech. In Knuckles, that happens exactly the same. So it's just a repeat. The villain's arc and the villain's idea is the same as the first. It's just a different idea. Is that he's an engineer and he's a mad scientist.
Okay, yeah.
So it's just the same.
Okay, the buyer, yes, but the agent's goal is different. Like, for example, the female agent, I can't remember her name right now. Like her goal is basically to get revenge, and even on Gun, because like they became friendly with Sonic and his friends, like instead of like seeing them as a threat and all of that. Like her goal is different. And also Kid got his goal, like he just simply like wants to beat the shit out of everybody. He wants to like get violent, because once he was in Gun, there are some things he couldn't have done, but now like he is liberated and all that. It's the simplest of them all, but like the point is that every single villain, no matter how short it is, they get the reasons why they're doing what they're doing. And even though, yes, the buyer's goal is the same as Robotnik, but instead of Sonic, it's Knuckles he's after. I get it, but the point is that even in a short short summary, you can like explain villain's motive. You don't have to write a fucking Bible to explain what they want.
No,
Just
that's
saying.
fair. That's fair. But I just, for me, and this is like my closing point that I want to make, because again, I'm going to give another Marvel or the MCU comparison. WandaVision was the first show. I've got the poster just behind me there, as you can potentially see. It's the last
Yeah,
one
I can
closer
see.
to me. Like, I love WandaVision.
Yep.
It's an incredible, it's a fantastic show. Still holds up now. WandaVision directly linked it into Doctor Strange 2. It was probably one of the only Marvel Disney Plus shows that linked heavily into a movie, potentially. I think Loki as well potentially did some stuff. But anyway, with obviously Kang and that whole stuff. For me,
Okay.
what I think is that it directly links in, so it makes people want to watch WandaVision, because it's like you need to watch this to understand Doctor Strange 2. The best part about WandaVision is that, because a quick story, I told my dad to watch WandaVision. And he said, "Yeah, all right, I'll watch WandaVision because we're going to go watch Doctor Strange 2." After he finished watching Doctor Strange 2, he turned around to me and said, "Thank you very much for telling me to watch WandaVision, because I got that because that character was elevated in Doctor Strange 2. Because we watched it with an amazing one who didn't watch WandaVision, and he was like, it was a really cool backstory, but now I need to watch WandaVision to get the whole like reason behind it." So it's that idea. If you watch Knuckles, I don't think it enhances anything in Sonic 3. Nothing. And I think it misses a beat there. It misses an idea.
Okay.
Because in the shared universe, it's really great to have each project build onto the next one. It doesn't make any building blocks. It really doesn't. And it could have done. It could have done. It had a great opportunity to. 6 episodes on a streaming service that's popular, increasing in popularity. Idris Elba's back. You've got that appeal. Everyone's like, right, let's go. Let's see what we can get. And then we're going to go into Sonic 3 with the stakes and potential, plot points already spread out before the movie even presses play. And it didn't. It didn't do any of that. And that was what the disappointing thing was for me.
Okay, but the question is I have for you is that how can you connect this to Shadow or even Dr. Robotnik? Because the thing is, like, hear me out on this one. The only way you could have connected this, for example, the only way this could have connected is that, for example, in a way, actually, it is connected, because the buyer did mention that he worked with Robotnik. Now, this could have been pronounced a little bit differently, but he did mention that he worked with Robotnik on a shadowy project. So that could also be like a little connection to Sonic 3. But again, if you're gonna directly connect it, first and foremost, you can't show Shadow, number one. You can't show him. No. So the only way you could have done this, is that after the buyer's defeat, somehow he survived that, fucking ball falling down on him. He somehow survived. He tries to escape. And then all of a sudden, the only way you could have done it is that if, for example, Agent Stone appeared, like in front of the buyer and says something like, it looks like you made quite a mess of this place or something, or
that
something like that.
That would have worked.
Or saying that, there is someone, there is someone I want you to meet. And you can say who, and he says like who, and and then Agent Stone says something like yes, or or a new, or your former employer, although I in a comedic way, I think it would have been much preferable if you said
have Agent Stone in it. Have Agent Stone in it from the beginning. That would have worked.
No.
I think that would have worked. I think that would have really been like a reveal at the end of one of the episodes, and Agent Stone is getting this because we want to get revenge on Knuckles. I just think it had to. I mean, I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer at all, and to be honest with you, I'm not particularly engrossed with all this universe and potential ways they can link and stuff like that. But
here's the thing. But
I just think, plain and simple, as a medium, as a TV show, and as a way to progress forward, it didn't progress forward. It just decided to go on this loop-de-loop around it on a character I wasn't even bothered about. I completely forgot about Wade. Both movies completely forgot about him. Didn't care for him. He tied. Oh, that was it. He got tied up, and the Master Emerald reveal plan was in his basement. That's just, and it was in the basement of the mums, was it? I don't know. That's what I mean. I don't care for him. He's just there because it's almost like, oh, we need another cop in the first one to kind of just level it out for James Marsden. His character was so insignificant.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Can I tell you, I have watched some shows that just like Marvel, or in this case even Sonic. There are some other shows that they have their own little cinematic universe. Let's put it that way. You can easily create in a cinematic universe. You can easily create a show that's in the same timeline, same universe, but there's no connection. You can easily do that as well. Because the thing is, when you have a cinematic universe, it doesn't have to be connected. Not everything. Yes, there are some mentioning some certain names, some certain events, certain actions. Okay. But that's it. That's all you need. There are some shows. I'm not trying to defend Knuckles, the TV show. I'm not trying to defend it, but I'm just saying that you can create a TV show without any connections in an already existing cinematic universe. And it could work, without connections or with. It's there's no difference. That's the only thing I just wanted to say, and also speaking of jokes, there's one thing I just want to very quickly way. I just want to say that, for me, okay, not every jokes work for me. Some of them were okay, okay, whatever, and some of them I got a smirk, but let's just say 70% of the jokes for me they worked,
That's fair enough.
I have to mention one scene. Okay, I have to mention one scene when Knuckles saw that the paper statue, whatever, of that woman who was in American Gladiators.
Yeah.
Okay, I was when he was wait, what are these spots on her shoulder and everything? I was like, really, Paramount? You really went that deep? I was because you and I figure, what Wayman. Okay, don't try to hug her or anything. We got the joke, but I was still surprised. Wow, they went that deep. With.
Do you know what? I was just completely and utterly what the hell are they doing now? I just that was a complete turn of the audience could have potentially have been quite young and enjoy it, and then they did something like that. That was horrible. I was
no. I mean, I wouldn't say it was horrible. I would say it was bold. I would say it was as a bold choice.
It was stupid. It was stupid. It went bold. It was stupid. Fine line between the two.
Well, I'm just sticking with bold. It was a bold choice, and again, but I will admit it was a weird one. It was a weird one and a bizarre one, but it was a bold one, because if, for example, if you have a family watching Knuckles. I mean, that's the only joke that only the parents will understand. The children not so much.
They switch it off quick.
Anyway,
they switch it off.
So
quick.
basically, I was trying. Yeah. Okay. I was switching off right now. But anyway, I was trying to say that 70% of the comedy in the show for me worked. I guess way more than for you. And I mean, again. I'm a guy who can easily be satisfied, easily, I'm not a guy who is expecting too much,
And comedy is subjective. Comedy is subjective as well. So,
exactly. And I'm saying that
the frustration with comedy movies and TV shows is that people find different things funny. So that's not necessarily something that you should ever moan about to somebody. You didn't find this funny. Well.
Fair enough. I mean, fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, I get what he was trying to say. I do. So for me, again, even with the Knuckles itself as a show, I'm easy to satisfy. So and when I was watching this, I was literally always in the gray zone. I wasn't high expectations, low expectations. I was literally in the gray zone. I was what, just shoot me whatever happens. I'm just gonna watch it, like eat something or drink something, and basically have a blast, And that's exactly what I had. I had a blast, So overall, I mean, with the exception of the bounty hunter and Wade's sister, everyone else for me worked. Oh my god! Like, could you believe? Like, I was like, remember when she stabbed him with a fork? I was like,
Yeah.
what the? I was okay. That for me was like, what the fuck? I was like, she fucking stabbed him in the shoulder, with a fork. I was like, whoa. I was like, okay, I get the fight between older sister and a brother. Trust me, I know the feeling. But like my older sister, she never stabbed him with a fork,
Yeah.
especially in the
Yeah,
shoulder.
it
So
it was just.
I was like, that was nuts. That was literally nuts.
And then like the mum,
but-
and then like the mum acting like she's like like a karate, like she was trained by Mr. Miyagi, so they were all scared of her with her karate stuff. And now they linked it to a religion as well, which I thought was plain stupid. They didn't like that at all.
The religion. I just want to say the Jewish religion thing. That for me was fine. It was okay. Like it was it was for me personally. It wasn't.
Oh, that
forced.
was fine. Yeah, that was fine. Like, and it was quite nice because it brought the family together and got Knuckles to teach them. But it was that bit where she's saying, where they said, "Oh, don't bring out your karate religion stuff," and I'm like,
"Oh, that
was ridiculous." Yeah,
she said. Wait, what did she say? Oh yeah, don't bring that like your Jewish karate thing, like something like that.
Yeah, it was just like, shut up. Like, I mean, the fact it was her as well didn't help. Like, because
I can tell you right now, and I think everyone is believing that. I don't think she's in the FBI. I think she's just wearing an FBI shirt.
God knows. So I can go down to the local shop now and buy one of them in a hat, walk out, and I'll get respect. Like,
I mean, I could literally make a shirt with like New York, like NYPD.
Yeah, you could do it now. Yeah, and we don't even live in New York. Neither of us live in New York, but we can still work. Like, she was honestly the worst part of that. Probably, like I said, she will go down as probably one of the most annoying characters I've ever watched in something.
Yeah, and close to her, like I say, comes the bounty hunter, and I would go as far as say, like Wade's father, Pistol Pete. Even though for me personally, he's more of a dick than annoying, but and I mean honestly, even though he was a dick, but the way when I see every scene he was in, his father, I mean Pistol Pete, when he was in it, I can see in his face, I can see the actor is having a blast playing this character. Like, he is having so much fun playing him. I can see it.
Because he's about a 70-year-old man who could, like, put pistols in the air and everyone go, "Way!" Like, that's probably why.
No, I mean the actor who played Pistol Pete.
Yes, I know. I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and I mean, and also, I mean, let's just say, like, I will agree. When I first saw him, I was like, wow, that's very patriotic, like the way how he looked. But I was like, he fucking looks like a supervillain than a bowler.
And that's classic American, like, again, the humor's subjective, and that's fine. But that's classic American humor, thinking that, like, we're British and we're proud to be British, like we have our flag stamped on everything, and then we have like, oh, we need to incorporate what's an English thing. Oh, well, I'll have a cup of tea. Let's put it in a bowling ball. Like, oh, it's just like, okay. Like,
but I said before, I think
TJ Maxx, by the way, is it's like an equivalent to like TK Maxx, which is a very popular shop here in England. So it's like a rip-off of that.
What is that? Like a furniture shop or something? What?
It's like furnitures, like clothes and things like that. So it's a very handy store. You can get a lot of good stuff. I'm not set. This video is not sponsored by TK Maxx, but
no, not at all. No,
not at all. But it's a very good shop, and they just ripped that off. So I just thought, yeah, that's okay.
Oh, okay,
whatever.
Okay. Whatever.
You don't
anyway,
leave a kid in it.
But
you don't leave
a
kid in a TK Maxx.
Okay, but I have to say, like Pistol Pete's bowling ball, that was such a cool design, well-designed ball. I'm just going to say, when I was watching that ball, I was like, oh my god, I wish I can have that ball. And again, I mean, I've told you like off live stream before, like I enjoy the bowling part in the Knuckles
Yeah, that
TV
was
show
that's
just
fine.
because, just because bowling is my favorite sport. you know I love bowling, and that's why for me personally I enjoy it even a little bit more than you know uh
I didn't
so
mind that. I didn't mind the bowling, like the bowling as a sport. Like that was fine. Like a sport's a sport, and like if you want to incorporate it in, like that's it's a quite it's a very American sport. So yeah, that's that picking if they if they decided to pick like baseball, it wouldn't bother me. Like regardless of what any sport you chose, it
true.
wasn't bowling as a thing. It was just the fact that it was involved in this TV show.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. But the thing is, I told you before, like way at the beginning, like when it comes to great battleground in the sky, like I said, Wade has his own battle against his father in the bowling. Knuckles had against the fight against the buyer. So, and I loved like it was like moving like from one scene to another, like basically back and forth, like with them, like so I accepted like this idea, like Wade has his own type of battle. Knuckles has his own, like I was okay with that, because I think like, with everything that was going on, I still think like, the way how they deliver episode 6, I think like, it was a well-deserved reward, at least, for me, at least, and like, because again, I told you, I didn't mind that 4 and 5, Knuckles was not too much in it. And also one thing we had to forget to mention, first of all, I just want to say the CGI on Knuckles, Sonic, and Tails, perfect. It was like movie level CGI, just from my personal
Yeah,
opinion.
fine.
But
Yeah,
also,
fine.
we have, we have to say one fact: CGI is very expensive. Much more expensive than costume sets and all that. So you can kind of also say that 4 and 5, the reason why he was not too much in it, because they were like watching the budget, as well. You can say that as well, like they were watching the budget, which again, respect. I absolutely understand them and all of that. But overall, again, I didn't mind it as much as everyone did. Everyone else, well, no, the majority of people did, as well as you. No offense. Um, but
Right.
so overall, I had no problem with like everything was going on, like from like I'm talking like episode 4 and 5 mostly. Like Wade and his father, and like the musical and all that. I didn't quite mind it. I was just like in for the road. I was just in for the road. Like no matter how simple the story was, again, it could have been bigger, like you said. Could have been bigger scales and all of that. Well, not that bigger as the movies. It could have been bigger. It could have been something else. But overall, I enjoyed the ride. Overall.
That's fair enough. I think that's a good way to leave it there.
Yeah, yeah. So I think we talked a lot. I think like we went through everything when it comes to like the characters, the villains, the story, the world building, the show itself and everything. So I think like I think it's time to say our ratings. 1 to 10. 1 to 10 this time. 1 to 10. So you go first.
What do you mean this time? What do you mean this time?
But usually, sometimes you prefer. I know you sometimes prefer like 1 to 5.
No. I do 1 to 10.
Oh, because there were a few times when you said like you prefer to go like 1 to 5.
Oh yeah. On episodes, yeah. On episodes, yeah. That's fair enough. But as a show, I like to go 1 out of 10. Out of 10. But I did a review, and I gave it a 5. So I'm going to stick with a 5.
Okay, fair enough. So a solid 5 out of 10. So that's basically like
not solid 5. It's a 5.
Well, a 5 out of 10 basically means like it's passable. Like like it barely passed the mark. Let's put it that way.
It did. Yeah. Well said.
Okay.
Well, where would you put it? 5.
Okay, that's for you. For me personally, again, I'm gonna say some things that maybe you'll get pissed off, but like for me personally, I think with the Knuckles TV show, I think that's a solid win again for the Sonic franchise. I think like for me personally, like I said, I had a blast with the show. I didn't mind like sometimes being more Wade centric than Knuckles. I really didn't mind that, because like every single one, because both of them had a lot of screen time, justice when it comes to like character development. The villains were fine. The fights were great. The CGI was immaculate. Okay, I mean, there were sometimes, I do agree, there were sometimes when I was like, okay, they could be a little bit cleaner, but okay, like, look, not everything is perfect, so they try their best. Anyway, so again, the story was like I say, grounded, very easy to follow, and again, I just love being on this ride, all the way until the end. So overall, if you are a fan of this Sonic franchise, not simply like the whole, like, the like video games, but also if you're a fan of like the Sonic movies, I'm giving Knuckles a solid 8 out of 10. If you're a fan of the Sonic films, for me, this is an 8.
Fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. That's your opinion. I can't knock it. And the points you've made has justified that.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, like I told you, like, I mean, some people even like I said, some people call me that I'm a guy who likes everything, which is definitely not true. Definitely not true. There's a lot of TV shows and movies I hate or that I don't like. They're not that I'm not interested. Also, people saying that this is like the worst show ever made. Bullshit. There are a lot more worse shows than this. Trust me, I know. And yeah, again, like I said, I really enjoyed this ride from all the way from the beginning to the end. So I'm standing with my rating, 8 out of 10.
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
Yeah, and with that, I think, ladies and gentlemen, hedgehogs, echidnas, and gun agents all over the world, I think we came to an end to our Knuckles review. Okay, so we said everything we had to say. So, as always, you guys, the tradition, the drill, like, comment, subscribe, all of that. Drop me a like. We both would appreciate that. And overall, here we are, done. Like always, Lord of Shadows signing off. See you guys next time. Off to you, FRC.
FRC, the best nickname ever. Signing off.
See you guys next time, and stay tuned for Sonic Free.